My name is Paul Onapa. I work with the Expanding Social Protection Program at the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. And from this meeting, it's very clear that vulnerability is real. And social protection is one of the ways or the means through which we can be able to safeguard Ugandans from not only falling into poverty, but from further deprivation. And this is a constitutional right that we have seen, and it's the responsibility of government to do this. But for us to be able to achieve this, one, we need to step up investment in social protection. We need to leverage on the contribution of the private sector in supporting contributory social security, so that Ugandans who are able to contribute can be able to contribute for themselves and build their social security. That is how we shall be able to reach persons in the informal sector, majority of whom are largely excluded from our social protection mechanisms or social security schemes, which are for the formal sector. But also to note is that our social protection ought to adopt a life cycle approach. A life cycle that picks you from the time you're born to when you become an adolescent, to when you become a young person, to when you'll be of working age, and when you die. Why? Because along all these aspects of life, you encounter different risks and vulnerabilities which predispose you to undignified lives. So social protection is the vehicle for us to be able to support these people to live dignified lives, and this is also internationally agreed and something that Uganda steps up. Lastly for me is that, you see, social protection is not about economics. Even poorer countries such as Lesotho and others have demonstrated and invested larger social protection interventions. So it starts with the political will. Once the will is there, then the economics add up. And as a ministry, we have done the analysis, we've built the evidence, one, to demonstrate the impact of social protection, but also two, to demonstrate how government can leverage on financing for social protection domestically through rationalizing the taxes that we have and also building within the resource bases, but also with the support of development partners and looking at what the private sector can contribute. But also, we've also got from here that it's not only about formal social protection. By definition, social protection is both public and private. So aspects of the informal support schemes also need to be revitalized, and that these will help, especially the local people in the communities. When we were growing up, we used to have the Muno Mukabi, Vatakatwezike, and all these are no longer there. So that means that people are on their own. So these schemes could be revitalized, and they will support and protect Ugandans as and when they are in need. But lastly also is the issue of the climate change and the disasters. We're seeing that these are very frequent now. We know that we have floods. When floods is done, you have a drought. When the drought is ending, you have a pandemic. When the pandemic is ending, you have something. Now, we don't need to live in a manner that these hit us as an accident. We need to anticipate them, and by anticipating them, then we need to respond. So redesigning our systems to be shock responsive is the way to go, and ensuring that they are not only shock or adaptive, but also inclusive to cover all segments of the population.